Hey, it's Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training, and today we're talking about how to upgrade your swing this summer, okay? Summer is the best time for you to make tweaks or major overhauls to your baseball swing. I get it, you don't want to make too many, changes or tweaks during the right? Because it always feels funny. It feels like you can't find your swing, and a lot of times your confidence suffers and your results may suffer as well. So I understand, it's important to make little adjustments during the season, but if you're looking to make major adjustments, big overhauls, then there's no better time than the summer and the off season. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, we're definitely going to be going over some mechanics in this video. Nothing too crazy. I'm just going to go over some checkpoints that I think that you need to make sure that you're doing in order to really maximize your results at the plate. But before we get into the mechanics piece, I think it's very important for you to understand a lot of the times hitters just think about upgrading their swing, right? They're talking about their actual mechanics of their swing. And although mechanics are very important, there's other things that you need to work on that are also very, very important. Things like vision. Vision is extremely important because if you can't see the baseball out of the pitcher's hand and you can't decipher what pitch is coming your way, well then what good are you going to be at the plate? And if you can't watch the ball all the way to your baseball bat. So vision is very, very, very important. Timing is critical. So I would highly recommend working on your timing as much as you possibly can, because let's face it, you can have the most beautiful swing in the world, but if you're consistently late or consistently early, it does not matter. You have to arrive on time. How about mental approach? Another thing, right? You can have the most beautiful swing in the world, but if you don't have a mental approach to go with it, if you don't have a game plan, if you have no idea, what pitch might be coming out of the hand, what specific way that the pitcher might be trying to attack you. If you don't have a mental approach, right? If you can't handle failure, if you can't make adjustments, if you can't overcome adversity, then you're not going to be a good hitter, all right? And then the last thing that you really have to work on as well before you even talk about swing mechanics is plate discipline, right? Because it doesn't matter, once again, if you have the most beautiful swing on earth, if you are consistently swinging at bad pitches, you're getting yourself out, right? If the pitcher throws a ball that's outside by 2 balls or 3 balls and you're swinging at it, right? Chances are you're not gonna make good contact on that pitch and you're getting yourself out. So plate discipline is very, very important as well. So these are all things that I would recommend that you work on before you worry about mechanics. But with that being said, let's talk about the actual baseball swing now. So the first step, if you're looking to upgrade your swing this summer, is to go through what we just talked about and find ways to improve in those areas first, because those are probably much more important than your actual mechanics. But mechanics are important. So when it comes to actually, hey, you've got some sort of a flaw or something that's holding you back in your swing and you're not sure what it is, well, let's talk about a couple things that it might be, okay? The very first thing that I want you to look at, right? This is a fundamental element, but it's very, very important. That's what big leaguers do, is they just get great at mastering the fundamentals. So let's talk about at the very beginning, right? The first thing that you need to learn how to do, obviously, is grip a bat. Well, go back and revisit your grip and make sure, do I actually have a good grip? A lot of hitters think that their grip is solid and locked in. Do you actually have a good grip though? So, a couple things that you just want to be careful of. Make sure that your grip is actually out in your fingers where you have bat speed and where you can have bat control as well. You don't want it the bat resting too deep in your palms, okay? So check that. And then really the only other thing, grip, much like stance, is really about personal preference and what works best for you. But when it comes to a non-negotiable with grip, you want to make sure that at the point of contact, however you're gripping the baseball bat, at the point of contact, you can arrive with your hands palm up, palm down easily, and you can also get to an extension position where your arms eventually go straight. You can actually get to that position easily without rolling your wrists prematurely, okay? So as long as your grip doesn't cause those issues. But what I see a lot of times is players have, there's the door knocking knuckles grip and the box grip. I'm fine with either of those. I personally like a little grip in between that, but a lot of players will have almost like a more of a box grip, like they're wrapping the bat a little bit. And you'll notice, I'm over exaggerating here, but if you wrap the bat like this, you're gonna notice that as you go through your swing in slow motion and you get to the point of contact, my hands are really tight here. It's hard to have them actually palm up, palm down in this position. It feels awkward. And then when I try to get to extension, I find it really hard to actually get there. I feel like I'm immediately rolling my wrist. So that probably wouldn't be the best grip. Because if I can't do those things slow, how am I gonna do them fast? So just make sure that your grip allows you to hold the bat in your fingers, get to palm up, palm down at contact, and get good extension. And then after grip comes stance, okay? So stance, it really doesn't matter how you stand. It's all about, the biggest thing I want you to focus on with stance is comfort. Are you comfortable, and are you actually able to go into your load without too much, effort? Because if you get into a stance that just feels kind of awkward and you feel really, really tight in, maybe you have your feet way too wide, you don't have any movement with your fingers, or you're completely stood still like this. This to me is not a good stance, because I would have a hard time actually going into my load from this position here. It feels awkward. I'm not loose there. I'm not comfortable. So bottom line with stance, just find something that's comfortable. Ask yourself, is your stance comfortable right now? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you stand. If you stand with your feet more traditionally, you've got open, you've got closed, you've got guys that like their feet more narrow and open, you've got guys that like them wide, you got varying hand positions here. None of that really matters. It's all about comfort to the hitter, and are you able to get to a good launch position and look good at contact. So that's stance. Then what do we have after our stance? Well, after our stance, obviously our first baseball move is the load, right? The load is pretty simple. The thing I want you to focus on when upgrading your swing this summer, try your best to make your load as smooth as possible. Remember, your load is just a timing mechanism. That's all it is. We're not generating a ton of power. It's not the bigger the leg kick, the more power. No, it's a timing mechanism, okay? So make sure that you use it as a timing mechanism. Use your load to consistently arrive on time, right? And then you just want to make your load as smooth as you possibly can, okay? Make sure you're loading against your backside, not over it. You want to be against it. And then the last thing I'll say with the load is you want to try to minimize head movement as much as possible. Now, a little head movement's gonna happen. It's not like you're gonna be able to load and keep your head in the exact same spot. Your head is going to go back and forward a little bit, but what you wanna avoid is the extremes. So you don't want your head moving so far back and so far forward. You also don't wanna have your head start way up here, and then when you go into your load, have your head move a ton, because when your head moves, obviously your eyes move too, and it makes it harder to see the ball. But load is, pretty simple. And then we've obviously got the stride after that. And the stride, you have to understand, the big thing with the stride is as you stride towards the pitcher, that's when your hands go back. And so you'll notice in the load section, I didn't talk about, okay, you've got to load your hands and push your hands back, because that's not what good hitters do. What you actually want to do, your load, your hands don't move a whole lot. They might not stay completely stationary, and they might, in fact, maybe move down a little bit, right? Just ever so slightly, but really your hands kind of load. You get that separation when you stride towards the pitcher. You walk away from your hands. So my hands are back here like this, I load, and then as I stride forward towards the pitcher, that's when I get this really good separation here. So that's what to focus on in your stride, okay? Walk away from your hands. You want to land with your front foot slightly open, about 45 degrees, and notice what I did here with my lower half. You really want to sink down into your legs, get into an athletic position, okay? Because we hit with our big muscles. The more that you can get into that athletic position, the more power you're gonna have, because we don't hit with our wrists and our fingers and our forearms and all that. They go along for the ride, but power comes from your big muscles. And so the more we can get into our legs, the better, okay? So don't stride and stay tall like this, right? It's fine if you start tall like this, but when you load and when you stride, boom, you want to get into a more athletic position. Last thing with the stride, okay? Your feet. You want your feet, the distance between your feet here, to be about the distance of your baseball bat, or about the distance of your inseam. If you were to make a triangle from my inseam down to the ground, right? Make a triangle in here, you want it to be like an equilateral triangle. You don't want your stride to be too long. That wouldn't be equal, you see that? But you also don't want your stride to be, this short here, all right? So that's a good rule of thumb for your stride distance. Then of course, we've got the launch position, which is just when your front foot lands, what position are you in? And launch position is very critical, and a lot of hitters don't really learn this, and a lot of hitters don't focus on it, but I think that it's critical when talking about upgrading your swing this summer. So biggest thing with launch position, do what we've done in the swing, what we've covered so far. Do all of that good stuff, right? Land with your front foot slightly open, athletic lower body position, proper stride length. If you do that, you're already in a good launch position with your lower half. Big thing to focus on with your upper half, knob of the bat facing the catcher like this, okay? Too many times I see the knob going elsewhere with hitters. Their knob might be facing, you know, the first base dugout, or their knob might be facing the pitcher like this, okay? And so when you do that, when your knob is not facing the catcher, it's gonna cause a bunch of other issues. That's why I think when upgrading your swing, you need to focus on mastering the launch position first, okay? That's gonna help everything fall into place. And a great way to work on your stride and your launch position at home, literally, you don't even need a tee or a ball or anything. You can just stand here like this and work on, as I go this way, as I stride this way, that is when my hands go back, okay? And that's when knob goes to the catcher. So you can just work on this all day long in front of the mirror, all right? And then in terms of getting to contact, actually executing the swing, well, you've got to watch the ball. And if you do everything else right, if you load right, you stride right, you get into that launch position, I'm a firm believer that everything else tends to fall in place. But you want to be sure that you're watching the baseball. That's obviously critical because you can't hit what you can't see. And then also focus on staying connected. Keep everything in tight to your body. Hitters get in trouble when, even if they do everything else right, when their first move towards the ball is out like this with their hands, I'm disconnected, I'm away from my body, right? We wanna keep everything in tight to our body. We wanna stay in here connected like this. So in terms of getting to contact, think about staying connected. Think about keeping everything inside the baseball, not around the ball, inside the baseball. And the last thing I'll say about getting to contact is remember that the swing, the rotational part of the swing happens when my front heel here, when my front heel drops, that starts the rotational part with my lower half, and that kind of brings everything else along for the ride. And then the last things we've got are your contact position and extension. So at the point of contact, film yourself this summer. If you want to upgrade your swing, take it seriously and make sure at the point of contact, number one, with your lower half, all right, your front side here, you're hitting against a firm front side. That leg is straight, not like this, not bent. That leg is straight, so you're maximizing your power. Also with your back leg here, you want a good reverse L shape here, all right? You don't want to be too tall like this. That's not a good reverse L shape. We want to stay behind the ball, have this shape here. That's it for your lower half, right? Upper half, we want to make sure our eyes are on the baseball. Our palms are palm up, palm down here. Eyes are on the baseball. Check out my arms, okay? I've got a good L shape here, and are my arms in this position, are they bent or are they straight? They're bent, right? They're still bent. So at the point of contact, we're not getting extension here, right? Our arms are still bent here, okay? Extension happens after, then that's the last component. We drive through the ball, continue to gain ground with our top hand, drive through the ball, and then we get to an extension position, and then we finish our swing high. And that's really the checkpoints when it comes to upgrading your swing this summer. So I hope you found today's video helpful, and if you did, then I know you're gonna love the free on-demand hitting training that I put together for you. It's 100% free. It's gonna help you hit the ball more consistently. It's gonna help you hit the ball harder and further. You're gonna hit more doubles, more triples, and more home runs because of it. So it's 100% free. All you have to do to grab it is just click on the link, the very first link that you'll see in the comment section down below. I'll pin that comment and that link for you, so you can just click on that. That'll take you to a page where you can get access to the free on-demand hitting training. So go ahead, do that right now if you're serious about taking your hitting to that next level. And last thing, subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed already. We're coming out with new baseball videos all the time, in fact, every single week. And if you don't want to miss any of them, subscribe and make sure your notifications are on. Until next time, I'll see you later.